Okay, so I didn't know it at the time, but this slide right here was made for you because all I want you to take away from this is that if I can do it, you can do it. 100%. I am a mom of 4 kids. I have a husband who travels about 250 days a year. I don't sleep much and I don't have time to eat very often. So I really appreciate lunch today. Thank you. And I still was able to build a business with people that I already knew without spending a whole bunch of money. And it took me 13 months before I got my first transaction. So all that to say, like, it can be done. And no story is the same. And just because you don't have traction in the beginning doesn't mean that you're not gonna get traction. Okay, these are my people. Like you said, I am married to a race car driver and it's super fun and he's awesome. He is one of just a handful of people that does what he does at the level that he does it. He is part driver, part coach. And so people hire him to be co-driver and as well as the coaching session to help them improve while they're there. Right now he's in Portugal and he's racing in the European Le Mans series. So yeah, it's awesome. These are my people, my little girls. She's almost 2 now. She's 10, 8, and 4. And I have my hands full in the very best way. Like I said, I don't sleep much, but I wouldn't change a thing. All girls, and everybody asks if we're gonna go for number 5, we go for a boy, and my answer is the same. What if we got twin girls as a bookend? Like, can you even imagine? So, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying, whoa. Whoa. So she's the only one with red hair. She got eyelashes that will just take your breath away. Her dimples are gonna get her anything that she wants in this world. And then this is the only one that got Jason's blue eyes. So they each kind of like pulled a little piece of him. None of them look like me, but it's okay, I'll make.
I remember at church, it was always broken.
Broom tree moment. So I like to think about this. This is probably the most defining part of my why, my business, my everything. A broom tree is a biblical reference. And basically it's a story about Elijah and Elijah just doesn't know where to go. And so I think about my broom tree moment as where was the lowest point in my life that I can remember and how did I climb my way out of it, okay? And so I'm gonna tell the story. I'm gonna try not to cry. In 2009, March 30th, 2009, my brother passed away unexpectedly. I remember the people that showed up for me in that moment. So this is the lunch right after his service. We just we treated it like a celebration of life because that's how we do life. So this is my college roommate, me, Jason. Obviously we had just met, bless his heart. He was, I don't know, 6 months into dating me. Family, and then another college roommate, and some people that I grew up with. These guys came in from Lubbock, no questions asked. She drove down and crawled into bed with me and just laid there with me for days. Like, I remember so clearly the people that showed up for me in that moment. And now I get to be that person in real estate, right? Because when you think about real estate, it's hard. It's death and divorce and job loss and relocation, and there's some really scary stuff. And without this horrible experience, I wouldn't be the agent that I am today, because I get to carry that through and help guide those people so that they can focus on what matters most in those moments. And I just get to kind of pick up the pieces and take them to the closing table. So I like the quote, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I care. I care so deeply because I get it. And there's some fun parts of real estate, don't get me wrong. You've got babies and promotions and some really great stuff too. Like, those are amazing as well in their own way. But I feel like where I really shine is in the hard stuff, in the messy, because that's what I've been through and what I've lived through. And people know that when they reach out to me, that I'm just gonna help them get to the other side. So you have to find your why. And I think that's the biggest thing is everybody's gonna ask you, why do you do real estate? And everybody answers the same, to help people, right? Yes, of course, we all want to help people, but it's deeper than that. Like, what is your actual reason? Like, what gets you out of bed when the transactions are hard and you're saying things 100 times over and nobody's listening to you? Why do you do what you do? It's not the money, because some days you're gonna make so much money and think, I can't believe I get paid to do this. And other days you're gonna make not enough money in the world for what you just had to go through. So you have to have a really good grasp on what is your why. And for me, it's very clear. I get to honor my brother every single day that I show up to work. And I would take him back 100 times over, like, who wouldn't? But at the same time, every time that I serve a family that's going through something difficult, that's me reconnecting with my brother. So all that to say, the gap between success and failure is small. There's a ton of agents in this industry. And some of us do really, really well, and some of us don't stay consistent and never make it to the level of success that you could have. And so focus and discipline and all the things that they teach you, it matters. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get that traction, but it really does add up. Sean and I talk a lot about people do business with people they know, like, and trust. You don't have to spend money buying leads. So I'm gonna start by talking about social media. Nate's in the back of the room, and Nate has lived through a lot of the pictures that you're gonna see pop up on the screen here. My story with social media was I was in denial. Like, TikTok became a thing, and I looked at it, I'm like, I don't dance, I'm not gonna do that. And then it became more than that, and I realized, I just missed the boat. I'm never gonna be successful. I should have started a long time ago. And I just was in denial and in my head. And then my broker at the time kept preaching, was like, no, you have to do this. I was like, well, I don't wanna do this. You have to do this. And so I started filming myself in my car or in my bedroom or whatever. I bought a tripod and I bought a gimbal and I bought all the things that were supposed to make me look good on video, and they didn't. I still looked the way that I looked and sounded the way that I sounded. And so I was recording myself over and over and over again, and I would never post it because I didn't know how to edit it. And I was spending all this time doing all these hats that I was never intended to wear. Like, my job is to serve families going through difficult moments. My job is not to be a video editor. And so I realized I've got to hire somebody. And so I did. And so that's where Nate came in. And now he shows up for all of my fun and exciting and embarrassing moments. He just makes me look good. And my favorite thing about Nate is that I've referred him out to some people and they say, can you make me look like Ashley on camera? And he says the same thing to all of them. He goes, I sure can, because Ashley doesn't look like Ashley, right? So he takes this Hot Mess Express and he makes it into a deliverable for social media. And what people see online, it's still me, but it's authentic, professional, and presentable me. And so what I like about my online profile is that people feel like they know me by the time they get to meet me. The authenticity is there. I want people to see that I'm quirky. I want them to know who they're going to be signing up to work with, because if they don't know, then I just don't think it goes well, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about some of these things. We'll start with social media, and then we'll dive into where my other relationships have kind of built onto each other. And hopefully at the end of this, you'll take away some good ideas, and maybe you guys have some good ideas for me to kind of implement over the next coming months. I'm just going to briefly say that my goal for this year was AI. And I didn't realize at the time how quickly it was gonna get away from me. So you set your New Year's resolutions and you're like, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. Well, I finally started diving in August or so. And since August until now, I feel like AI has changed rapidly, even since I've been into it. And so what I will say about real estate is I don't think AI is gonna replace us. I don't think there's any risk of that. It's too personal, it's too intimate. But I do think that AI can enhance your business. And so whether that's your online stuff or what you're sending out to stay in communication with clients or enhancing your experiences for people, AI is 100% should be part of the game. And if it's not, then you should look into that. So I'm using chat. I'm playing with Claude and Perplexity. I am playing with the banana one. Nano banana. Okay, I was at an appointment the other day with a buyer. They were looking at this backyard and they're like, I don't understand, how could we possibly take this and turn it into what we want? And so I very quickly showed them using, I just call it banana. I very quickly took a picture from a couple different angles and told Gemini what I wanted it to do. And it produced this beautiful image, and then I had them tweak it a couple different ways. And I showed it to them, they're like, oh my gosh. There is a program within Google Gemini called Nano Banana. It creates images for you. And you can either take an existing image and ask it to modify it, or you can have it create something from scratch. But basically, I used it in the backyard. I helped them decide if they wanted to buy that house or not based on whether or not they could build what they wanted. They took that picture and sent it to a contractor before we put an offer on a house. And they said, hey, what would it cost to do this? And then now we're under contract for the property. Huge. Buyers have no vision. And so that was one way that I used it. Another way that I used it was I had a listing for a piece of dirt, and buyers didn't have vision for what that dirt could become. And so I asked Banana to create a couple different options: modern, contemporary, Tudor, all different types of homes with different landscaping, with pools, and create me a homestead, and create all these different things that fell within the parameters of the HOA for that community. And I used that as a way to market the property, in addition to it just being a piece of dirt. Because I'm not a builder, I'm not a designer. I don't want to be, but what I want to do is help people think outside the box so that they can then take that to a professional and say, hey, this got me thinking, would something like this be possible? And let the professional work. Like I said, my hat is not to be a graphic designer or anything like that. There's so much to learn. And so what I will say is, if you try to attack all of it at one time, you're not gonna get anywhere. You're gonna feel like analysis paralysis, I guess is the best way to put it. If you pick one and kind of dive all in and realize, what can it do? Is that helpful for me, yes or no? And then move on to the next, you'll get a lot further. But be prepared that by the time you move on to the next, this has already become outdated, right? So it's just changing so rapidly. But there's some really cool stuff that it can do to help enhance your business. When I post on social media, I try really hard not to post too much about myself. I try to post with some type of value behind it. This is really interesting to me. Real estate is the only industry where we advertise something that's no longer available, like just sold. Congratulations to me, I just sold a property. But why does everybody else care? So part of it is you want to stay brand aware and you want people to realize that you're active, maybe in a slow market. I think there's better ways to do it. Not that I don't ever do it, but I think there's better ways to do it. And so just keep that in mind when you're posting. These are all videos of me that Nate has taken. I, for a long, long time, wanted to go viral, right? And I've never gone truly viral, but this one in the middle had 12.9 thousand. This one down here had 170. I don't know why. Like, the content was the same, the videographer was the same, the messaging, it was both agent to agent. Like, I don't know why one video hits and another video doesn't. And he was so critical in kind of reframing that mindset. He's like, what's the goal here? Is the goal to stay front of mind, or is the goal to have a whole bunch of people like your video that you're never gonna hear from again? I'm like, well, the goal is to stay front of mind with my current people and let them know that I'm a professional. The goal was never for me to get people in Georgia or New Hampshire or whatever to think that I'm funny, right? Because that doesn't do me any good. So what I will say is getting on video, like I talked about a little bit earlier, was really hard for me. And I listened to Kyle Draper. If you guys don't follow him, he's exceptional. This kind of reframed my mindset. I don't like the way I look. And he's like, I don't really care. You look the way that you look, right? Or I don't like the way I sound on camera. Well, guess what? You sound like that no matter what. And so the people that want to be friends with you and want to do business with you, they already like the way you look and they already like the way you sound. And so what are you afraid of? Some stranger? I cannot think of a single lead that I've ever gotten from a stranger online. Nobody just finds me on YouTube and nobody finds me on social media. But what does happen is my friends watch it and then they send that to their friend. Or my friend watches it and it triggers them in a conversation that they have with somebody else a couple days later who needed a real estate agent. They're like, oh, I just saw Ashley's video. And without even really putting it together, they're recommending me. So the people that call me, I already have some degree of separation with. My only goal with video is to stay top of mind with my sphere. Anything else that comes in is a bonus. That's not everybody's goal, but for me in my stage of life, with my children, with all the things that I have to balance, that's what I'm going for. If somebody calls me and they're not okay with the fact that I have 4 children, then we're probably not gonna be okay working together, because you're gonna hear them in the background, or somebody's gonna get sick and I'm gonna have to reschedule or have somebody else cover, or stuff is going to fall apart from time to time because my children are such an intricate part of my world. And so if you're not okay with that, then we can't be working together right now in this season of life. And so when people call me, they already know that that's part of my story because they've seen it online. So I don't have to really justify or explain myself as much. Parasocial relationships. I feel like I know you. I talk about Reba McEntire, like I see her on stage and I think that we would just be best friends if she would just give me the chance to meet her. Reba is just awesome. And that's who I try to be to other people. Like, I want people to see me online and think, I want to be friends with her. I want to do business with her. She looks like a fun person to hang out with. I want to do life alongside of Ashley and her family. And so that's the persona that I try to create for people online. So I post stuff like this. This was breakfast. That's just my life right now. And so if I can show people that yes, it's not one or the other, it's not success or family, it's both and that's just where I'm at. I try to be super, super authentic. No surprises with me. This is the day that I passed my broker license. I was too scared to look at the paper. I did not know if I had passed. And they handed it to me and I went in the bathroom and I was just kind of holding on to it. I could not bring myself to open this piece of paper. I was 9.5 months pregnant and I knew that if I didn't pass that test right then, that I wasn't gonna get to do it for a while because the baby was gonna consume everything. I got back to the car and I'm just sobbing. What if I didn't pass? What if I did pass? Like, I was just a hot mess. I'm super pregnant. And I opened it up and it said passed. I just started crying even harder. And so then I have like snot coming out of my nose, like I'm just a mess. And I took the picture and I posted it and everybody loved it and liked it and commented. I didn't look perfect. My makeup wasn't on. Literally a hot mess express at the moment. That was one of my most liked posts that year because people saw they were happy for me. But it was also the very real version of me that they got to be part of. Anything and everything can be a video. We are currently in the process of building a house. We have been for 2.5 years. It's a whole other story, we'll go into that later. And so right now, in my master bedroom, we have the Peloton, we have the baby's crib, and we have the bed. We are on top of each other. And I decided that I was just gonna make a video about what it looks like to just live. And to be a mom and try to fit a workout in, because I feel like that connects with a lot of people. In this one, I decided we were gonna talk about poop. We were gonna go and do a video on septic tanks because a lot of people don't understand that there's different types of septic tanks. You have your aerobic and your anaerobic. And anyways, we did this whole video on poop. And then this one, Nate, I don't know if you remember this day. You're like, oh yeah, I remember. I can't even remember what I was trying to say, but Nate said it was hard to watch. And I said, no, sir, it was very hard for me to do this. Everything can be a video. It's just, what do you want to talk about that day? If you say that you don't know what to talk about, that's not correct. You're just kind of not thinking through what people could connect with. What if people don't like me? Well, there's gonna be some that don't. Strangers are mean. They are just little warriors. And this guy right here says that my job could be done by a YouTube video. Yes, thank you very much. That was lovely of you. Either way, we need less agents. The existence of your profession is a policy failure. Real estate agents are leeches, 6% to sell your biggest asset. What world do you live in where that's okay? They're just mean. They're awful. Oh, they are so awful. They're just mean. And part of me wants to go back and respond in a way that's like, I'm so sorry that you had that. Yeah. Like, I'm so sorry that you had such a terrible experience with a real estate agent at some point. We're not all awful. Like, some of us are actually fun and we have a good time and we're good at what we do. I'm not gonna pretend like it doesn't hurt, because it does. It really hurts my feelings. And I wanna be friends with everybody, but I also know that he's not worth my energy. And I know that for every one person that does something mean like that, there's hundreds of others that are like, oh, that was a good video, or, you know, I like seeing you online, or thanks for encouraging me, or whatever the case may be. So don't let them be the reason that you don't get on video. Just because it isn't working doesn't mean it isn't working. I love this gentleman right here. I trained 4 years to run 9 seconds, and people give up when they don't see results in 2 months. So good. It's so good. It took me 13 months to get my first deal. It's so, so true. When I was brand new, I went to Target, the dollar section, and I picked up these little potted plants, and it had a little tag on it. I tied my business card to it and it said, thanks for helping me grow. And I went around my neighborhood and I delivered it to every single person in the Double Oak Women's Club. And they would call me and they'd say, Ashley, thanks so much for the gift. Your plant didn't grow. And I was like, she's like, I tried, I'm so sorry, like whatever. We laughed about it and I said, well, I really hope that's not an indication of my career. And there were people that kept it up there for months. They're like, I'm so sorry, it's in the sun, I keep watering it, like nothing's happening. I'm like, it's okay. For me, it was just about the connection and the relationship that happened there. It was $1, it was an afternoon, I had the kids in a stroller, we took a walk. It was just a way for me to stay in front of people without spending a bunch of money. And it was just an opportunity. Like, it can be whatever you want it to be. I did not get any transactions from it. And my flowers did not grow for anybody that I know of. And it took from that moment, gosh, it was probably another 11 months before I got a deal. Was not from one of those plants, but for all I know, I'll get a deal at some point from one of those. I don't know. Okay, this is number 3, her dimples take my breath away. I think about her so much when I walk into a room. Am I walking into a room and lighting up the room with my personality? And am I fun to be around? Or am I the person that walks into a room and people are like, oh God, Ashley's here. I wanna be this little girl when I grow up, because she, I don't know, she just inspires me so much. And I want my clients to see that version of me when I come into their house. Am I there to help them do a job? Yes. Am I there to also make them feel really, really good about the process? Like confidence, excitement if it's an exciting moment. Yes, all the things. Figure out what version of you want to show up, and then do that. This is who I want to be when I grow up. Okay, I came from Sewell Automotive Group. Carl Sewell wrote the book Customers for Life. If you haven't read it, it's an excellent book. I learned everything that I know about customer service because of Carl Sewell and the teaching that I went through. I was with them for almost 10 years. He talks about never walking through a door without looking behind you, because you never know who's gonna be coming behind you, right? So when you walk through a door, you're supposed to like look behind you, hold the door, make sure somebody's okay. I was in a hurry, I was running across the service drive, I forgot. And as I like got back, realized I forgot, turned around, and the door slams in Carl Sewell's face. And I was like, oh, of all the days to forget, Ashley, like that day, really? But it's such a good reminder of the little things and just the lessons that I took from him and how I apply those into my business, because we are in a service business. We just happen to sell houses, right? I happen to be in a car business, but it was still all about the people at the time. And so taking those customer service experiences from him in the time that I was with his corporation, I would say have really, really positioned me for success. I also think that how you show up to your people matters. I was pregnant in this picture, I was pregnant in this picture, and I was pregnant in that picture. In this one, they were out of town and they wanted to know if I would go over every day and blow off their patio because there were leaves and they were having lots of showings, and it was in the middle of the COVID boom. And I said, absolutely, like why in the world would I not show up and run a blower? In this one, their house was so messy in the beginning. And I knew that they were under a timeline and they were under a financial strain, and there was just all kinds of pieces at play here. And so I just grabbed a broom because I knew that it either wasn't gonna get done or I was gonna grab the broom. And so I just grabbed a broom. And in that one, my homeowner needed to flip her house onto the market for reasons I won't go into within 24 hours. And there was this back section of her yard that did not look great and was not photo ready. And she started to work on it and it was filled with wasps. She's like, Ashley, I'm allergic to wasps. I don't know what to do. And I said, I'm not, let's do it. And so I went out there and I cleaned up the yard, right? I did not get stung. And I told her, I said, I need you to take a picture of this because I'm gonna wanna talk about it one day, you know? None of that was hard at all. It's just about showing up in the moments where people need you to show up the most. Could she have called a landscaping crew? Sure, but then we wouldn't have gotten the home flipped for photos within 24 hours. So or on the market in 24 hours. So it's just choosing how you want to be present for your people. I often blur the lines between clients and friends. I won't work with people if I don't think that I would want them to be at my house one day, because I want to do business alongside with people that I want to also be friends with. These people right here, they did a remote closing in Poland. This is their daughter. We did CrossFit together. Then she got married and then they both invited their family to move back here from Poland. And so I love that story. And then from there, she referred me all of these other people. I like to try and go and write notes on my people when they're building homes. I don't get to it all the time, but I really, really try because I just want to let them know that I want to be part of their story forever. I could cry just thinking about some of these people. Knowing your people, knowing what they're going through, being present for them when it matters the most. That woman right there later suffered from breast cancer. And just knowing that about her and wanting to be able to show up for her any way that she needed. Okay, so let's talk about fun stuff. Client appreciation activities. I love a good party. Like, it's just so fun for me. You'll never find me door knocking. You'll never find me picking up the phone and doing cold calls. You won't find me, calling leads that come in through my email from the website. That's not my jam, but my jam is parties, because it's a really easy, fun way for me to get my hands on a lot of people and have good conversation and really just do life alongside of them. So talk about a new year. This was a party I threw for the teachers at the school. I took all of the teachers for Bridalwood Elementary out to Gloria's, bought their dinner, and then we did a raffle. And the raffle was the best part because the raffle winner, I bought out the rest of their Amazon list because some parents and families aren't able to do that, and I don't think the teachers should suffer. So that's how I got teachers to show up, and then I just got to love on them and have fun with them. The teacher that won that year, she is a good friend of mine now, and I told her that I would hire her in a heartbeat because she recently retired. So when she's ready to go back into work, I would love to see her be part of our team. This right here, meet and greet, I sold so many houses in that neighborhood that I felt like it was only appropriate that I did a meet and greet for the entire community so that the new buyers could meet the existing sellers and nobody felt like I was trying to destroy their community. So I brought out a bounce house and I did cookies and we just kind of set up in the middle of the cul-de-sac. It was just a fun, really inexpensive way. I kind of had a scarlet letter in that neighborhood for a little while because people would drive around and be like, oh, Ashley's car is at 103 or 104 or whatever the number is. And so I had to start taking different cars because I would get these random phone calls. Is so-and-so selling? I'm like, no, I just went over to have coffee with them, Anyway, anyways. So I got around all of that by doing the meet and greet, just showing people that I'm not the enemy. Like, I do really want community. These people just needed to sell for various reasons. Then I did this, Our Town Smackdown. This was my original idea and I thought it was so fun and so cool. And then I realized that somebody else was doing it and kind of hurt my feelings. What I did was I did a macaroni and cheese and chili cook-off together in Double Oak. And it was right before COVID. It was awesome. Everybody was eating food that other people cooked. There was no issues. And we had big old pots on each table from each vendor that I had. And guests would check in and they'd get a giant macaroni noodle. And they would go and taste all the different vendor tables. And then they would drop their macaroni noodle in the one that they thought was the best. And then the winners got a gift and it was this whole thing. It was awesome. It would have taken off if COVID hadn't hit because then nobody wanted to eat anybody else's food. So we didn't do it again. But I loved it. I do the traditional pop buys. I did popcorn one year. You make my business pop. I delivered it to people. It was fun. Not a huge return on that, just more staying front of mind. What I don't like about that is I didn't get to have conversations with people. And I really like to just have the relationship. And then Thank You So Much. That was a end of the year celebration that we did at Bahama Bucks, where I just said, come on, let's go. And we just set up a tent and camped out for a couple hours at Bahama Bucks and ate snow cones with people. It was really fun. My all-time favorite client appreciation event ever was this one right here. This is my house that we're building, and I called it a Sign the Sticks party. Any person that has contributed to my success at any level, my husband's, my business, any of it, we said, come to our house and please sign the walls of our home, because we're not building this home for anybody else. We're building it for you. Like, we want you to be part of our story forever. We want you to come know that the only reason we can build this house is because you believed in us, right? If you didn't believe in my husband, we wouldn't be here. If you didn't believe in me, we wouldn't be here. And so we had, 70, 80 people that showed up. All the kids came. I didn't care. I just gave them all Sharpies. I'm like, you can color on whatever you want. Just make a mess. Like, no parent's ever gonna say that to you again. So we have doodles on the floor, on the wall. People were pulling out ladders. We rented this, I can't think what it's called. It was like a chuck wagon. And they did custom non-alcoholic beverages out front. Can't remember what it was called. Chug. It was called Chug. It was really good. If you haven't used them, they're really, really good. So they set up out front. We had flurries, cater, some sliders in the back, and I just let people color. It was just awesome. And then Nate went around and took pictures of every single thing that was written throughout the house. And we're gonna create a collage, and it's gonna hang. It's this master space that we're gonna hang it in so that we can forever remember the things that were written. And some of them were funny. There's some money signs on the door frame of my office. There's a picture of a race car that somebody drew on Jason's office. There's some really sweet prayers over my children's bedrooms. That was by far my favorite client appreciation event, and it didn't cost hardly anything at all. The Chug It truck and the food and some Sharpies, and people loved it because they could bring their kids. You could do that for somebody else. You don't have to build a house to do it. You could do it for somebody who is building as a way to celebrate them and their family and have them invite their people. Okay, casino night was a total flop. Total flop. This was almost 2.5 years ago. And when we hit 100 transactions, we did a Celebrate 100 client appreciation event. I thought that I did a good job following up with RSVPs and calling people and saying, hey, don't forget to come, it's tonight. We did the before, we did the hour before, we did all the things. And then one by one, people started texting, not gonna make it, kiddo's sick, we have a last minute baseball game, whatever the case was. And we went from 50 down to 10, maybe like instantly. But I had ordered food for 75 because I didn't want to not have enough. And so then I ate rosas for weeks. We called in the fire department, we called in the police department. I gave it away to the people at the casino tables. Like, I just started like, here, take this home. Nate, I think, took home 100 tortillas, like total flop. I did. So I got to play on the tables all night, and it was really fun. But the eating roses for weeks was not fun. This is a watch party that I did. I like it because it gives me a chance to meet with other people for reasons that I wouldn't otherwise have a chance to interview with them. Do I feel famous? No, I don't do it for any of those reasons. I do it because it allows me to create relationships that I wouldn't otherwise create. And then I can just have fun celebrating with them. So one of the places that we interviewed and put on the episode was in Old Town Louisville. Rhonda Owens is the owner of Merc and Perk in Old Town Louisville. She owns the lounge, which is up above it. And so she hosted the watch party for us. It was a fun time. And then one of the other people that we interviewed in that episode was Terry Sullivan, who owns Sullivan Barbecue in Louisville. So he catered it, she hosted it, and I just had to show up and celebrate my people. So it can be done really, really inexpensively if you just get a little creative. And then our Fall-A-Day pie party, that is coming up really soon. We give away a pie to all of our clients that want it for Thanksgiving. And I know a lot of agents do this, but I tried to put a little spin on it this last year and it worked. The first year I did it at my office. And it was pretty normal, right? People just came to the office and picked up the pie. It was no big deal. And then last year I decided, what if we do it at our house? And before I hadn't wanted to do it because we live in a very small house right now. Like I said, we're building. So I've got 4 kids in 3 bedrooms. We've got 2 bathrooms. We're on top of each other. And the last thing that I wanted was 100 other people coming through the door trying to use a bathroom that all my children use and all the thing. I'm a germaphobe. That's a whole nother story. But I told the kids, hey, this is my idea. What if we do it at the house this year? And they said, yeah, let's do it. Like, they love a good party too. And they went around room by room and they made these little snowflakes out of construction paper. And they labeled them and it said like, this room over here was board games, and this room over here was, I can't remember what all of them were. The kids just really got into it, and then we had a hot chocolate bar, and they were making hot chocolate for everybody. It was a big bowl of chocolate chips, big bowl of marshmallows, and the kids would like scoop like heaving spoonfuls of chocolate chips in, and then a little bit of water and a little bit of hot chocolate, and serve it to my clients. Clients are very polite about it. They just had a really good time being part of the celebration. And so by inviting the people into my home, I was really living out what I try to preach online. Like, come do life with me and my family. And they got to know my kids, so it was less invasive later on down the road. If I said, hey, number 3 is sick, or hey, I have to go to this for number 4, my partner's gonna step in. Like, it just became a very symbiotic relationship. So we get to do that again, and I'm hoping we can do it in the new house, but it's not looking like it. I'll tell you one more event that I haven't planned yet, but I have wanted to plan. We're gonna call it the Heart Hoedown. I do not know how to dance, but I really wanna know how to dance. And so I was gonna hire a professional dance instructor, one for adults and one for children. We're building a massive shop on the side of our new house, and we're gonna use it a lot for my husband's business, obviously, but also client events and that kind of thing. And my hope is that he'll let me use that space to just have a big giant dance floor and do something fun and fall and festival-y. Kids and adults and everybody just kind of come and hang out. So anyways, that's always in the back of my mind, just trying to think of what other ways can I engage these families that I love to do life with. There is a book called Perk Your Sphere, and it's not long at all, 50 pages maybe, really easy read. And it gave me the idea to do these VIP boxes. And so here's an example of a banana image, by the way. I couldn't find a picture of a box last night when I was trying to make this slide. And what I do is I put a bottle of champagne, put a bottle of cider, and then I have a house-shaped cookie that says Heart Realty Team on it. And it's got a note in it there, and it just says, welcome to the VIP club, whatever, whatever, whatever. And I give that a couple weeks post-closing to people. I actually deliver it to their house and give it to them because I want people to know that it doesn't stop at the transaction. It's 100% relational. I want you to come and continue to do events with me. Welcome to our VIP group. Now you're going to be part of things that you otherwise would not have been part of. My referral partners are part of it, as well as my clients. So anyways, back to the banana image. I couldn't find a picture, so I just put in there, please create me a picture of a box that I would have assembled. Use a gold ribbon, whatever, whatever, whatever. I told it exactly what I wanted in the box. This little brown crinkly stuff, I don't even know what it's called, but I said, I put in the descriptions, and it came back with this image, which is pretty dang close to what we actually use. And so anyways, VIP benefits that I do for people in the group. I just sent out Starbucks gift cards a while ago to them, just like a random Tuesday thing. Here you go, here's 10 bucks, go get some Starbucks. If you don't drink Starbucks, send it to somebody else and make their day. I would say that almost everybody opened it and used it. I may have one or two that are still outstanding, but everybody else used it. This was just, like a birthday little bundt cake that I gave to somebody. I do the pumpkin porch delivery. I don't personally do it, I pay for it because I'm not that artistic or creative, but there's a great company and they deliver these pumpkins, and then they have a handwritten card that they put with it that lets them know that it was from me. And that's probably one of my more expensive ones that I do, but it hits really, really, really well. A lot of people like that a lot. I saw this 7-foot tall Texas Tech inflatable, and I texted a client who's a huge Red Raider, and I am too, and so is her husband. And I said, I think you need this. And either you buy it or it's gonna show up in your front yard, right? And so either way, this is happening. And she wrote back, oh my gosh, yes. And so just little things like that, that was not necessarily a VIP benefit, but it fit in here. It was more just I'm thinking about you, I saw this, I know who you are, and go Red Raiders, by the way. Ways to stay in front of people or generate business. I'm the diamond sponsor for Bridalwood Bronco Bash, which is their annual fundraiser. And when I did it, they put my name on the marquee. This gentleman walked by and met me at the table when we were doing a booth. He then referred me to his sister, who then referred me to her parents, who just sold again with me we closed yesterday. All came from that direct sponsorship. And then they drove by the sign because they also go to Bridalwood and live in Bridalwood. And they called me randomly and they said, hey, we'd love to have a listing appointment. Okay, great. So my first question is always, where did you hear about me? Because if I don't know you in some capacity, I don't necessarily feel comfortable showing up to your house because that's just me. And they said, oh, we found you online. They'll probably laugh if they ever see this video, but I called people before I went and I'm like, hey, I'm going to meet at these people's house. I don't know anything about them. They said they found me online. I'm a little scared, whatever. And I pulled up and I'm like, oh, you guys are totally harmless. Where did you find me online? And they're like, oh, well, we drove by and saw your name on the marquee and then we looked you up online. And I was like, oh, that's a totally different story. We should have started with that. But all that to say, that sponsorship cost $3,500 that year, I think. More than paid for itself, no question. So we're doing it again. CrossFit is a huge part of my life. These people came from CrossFit, these people came from CrossFit. There's the parents that I told you came from Poland. This guy and I worked out together at CrossFit. He then referred me to his colleagues who then sold their 2 homes and bought a home together. My last admin, she came from CrossFit and she referred me to one of her previous friends from her old world. So within a year, all of that business came just from showing up to CrossFit, because I firmly believe that how you show up anywhere is how you're going to show up in your business. And so if you show up at a high level, like I do in the CrossFit gym, people know that I'm dedicated, committed, focused, energetic, whatever word you want to use to describe yourself is very much where I put my focus. This is that neighborhood that I told you I did the meet and greet in. These people, they're amazing. They were very, very active in the Double Oak community. So they then, of course, told the whole neighborhood all about me. When they told the neighborhood about me, it was because I did a going away party for them at their house before their house closed. And so the whole neighborhood came, got to know me, got to know them. I had all of the neighbors. I had printed out a listing photo of the neighborhood and I had all the neighbors sign it before they left. Super inexpensive. I was already paying for the photos. They loved it, but that was their closing gift. They then referred me to this neighbor, that neighbor. Anyways, I could go on and on and on about them. They're amazing. Military, obviously, people are very, very close in the military. So I connected with one gentleman who then referred me basically to everybody else. Okay, this one lady right here, God bless her. She alone has referred me to all of those people, and she hasn't bought or sold with me. She just happens to be a friend who is a huge cheerleader for me. This is the last mayor of Double Oak. He hasn't actually purchased anything, but he's a good friend of mine and he helps promote me in all different areas that I can't even discuss. So what I will say is it doesn't cost you anything to be in relationship with people. And those relationships, if they are authentic, they want to see you succeed. So she's perfect candidate for that. This random open house, it was the very first open house that I ever met. He's gonna kill me for telling this story. He and his wife walked in and we hit it off and I was so excited to finally get a client. It was actually Katie Saldivar's open house, now that I think about it. Anyways, I was so excited to finally get a client. Things were going great. We go home that night. He asked me to show him another house next door. I did it. This was before we needed the buyer rep. I was running some comparables for him that night and he responded back with an email. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about the highlights of your business. Tell me what your last year of production looks like. He asked me some really hard questions and I had this much business. And so I responded super authentically and I just said, I have nothing, but guess what? That means that I am ready to hit the ground running just for you, right? And I tried to sell myself in every way that I could. You know, the brokerage teaches you to use their numbers. I did all the things that I could. And he just straight up ghosted me. He ghosted me big time. And so I just saved his phone number and I just never heard from him again for 2 weeks. No, let me back up. I followed up with him as if I had the business because he didn't actually tell me that I didn't, but it never went anywhere. So 2 years later, my phone rings and it pops up and I remembered it. And it said his name and then the address of the open house because that's how I save people on my phone. He was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. And I'm like, oh, I absolutely remember you. And he was like, I'm so sorry that I treated you that way. If you'll take me back, I'll never do it again. I understand that what I did was wrong. I had a terrible experience after you, and I really, really would like to work with you again. I, of course, said yes. I then sold his house. He then referred me to his daughter. I sold her house. She referred me to her friend who was moving here. Anyways, you can just see how it keeps going. So just because it doesn't work the first time doesn't mean that that relationship won't somehow play out for you in the end. He is a previous firefighter, and so I'm also working with one of his people from the fire department at this point. So it just, every single person in my line of business is somehow connected to somebody else in that line of business. And it's so cool when I get them all in a room together at these parties because they all know each other. And so they all want to come and they all want to be part of the celebration. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that you worked with her. Oh yeah, you know, they start connecting the dots. And church is another great way to meet people. Networking groups are another great way that don't cost a lot of money to do it. And then community involvement. So I'll touch on this. The Double Oak Women's Club I told you about. The fire department in Double Oak is a volunteer fire department, so I try to stay as involved in that as possible. Like I said, we're building that shop, and my hope is that we can use that shop for banquets for the police department and banquets for the fire department. Not only do I want those relationships with those people, but I want them to feel celebrated and supported by me as a member of the community, because I think so often they don't get that. We do a flag display. This doesn't cost hardly anything at all. Memorial Day flag display. So I emailed everybody in the town of Double Oak that I had contact information for, and I emailed all of my clients, and I said, hey, if you lost somebody, I would love to know years of service, name, anything that you want to share with me. And people sent me back all the information that they wanted. I printed it out, laminated it, and tied it onto flags. And now every year we set up this display and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. I got a donation from Lowe's for the flags. I got the Girl Scouts to help with the tags, and we just kind of create this display, and now it's known in the community. We put it up right before Memorial Day. It stays for a week and then we pull it down. Double Oak does a 4th of July parade. So I throw my daughter's little play set on the back of our truck. And I hang one of our yard signs in the back of it, and we throw out candy, and we just rock and roll down the street and have a fun time. But the goal for me is just creating those relationships and being part of the community, because ultimately I would love to do business where I live. I do a lot of stuff with Louisville ISD as well. I was part of the Bowling for Scholars program in terms of sponsorship. Obviously got to be part of all the high schools. And then there's a picture of a teacher party where I sponsored it at Sip and Savor. It was the back to school. Kind of like the Gloria's one, the Talk About a New Year one. That was just another year that I did it. I bought them dinner, drinks, dessert, and just said, welcome back to school. Typically by the time people reach me, there is solid lead. Beth will say, hey, call Ashley. And then they will call me, and they end up being either a buyer or a seller at some point. Now, whether it's that moment or 3 months down the line, I haven't measured that, no. I do about 30 deals a year, and they are 99.9% referral. It's not hard to stand out in this business if you do things the right way, because there's a lot of people that treat the business like a transaction. Like maybe they just met somebody on Zillow and the relationship isn't there, and they just help them buy or sell the house like that's what they were hired to do, and then they never hear from them again. I think the statistic, Beth, you may know this better than me, but I think the statistic is that 70% of buyers or sellers say that they would use their agent again, but only like 10%, 15%, something really marginal actually do, because that agent doesn't stay in touch with people. If I wouldn't invite you to a family dinner, then I probably don't need to be doing business with you, because it's gonna happen. You're gonna end up in my house. You're going to meet my family. I truly believe in the most innocent way that my relationships with my clients become very intimately intertwined. Like, I want to know how you're doing. I want to see your family settled into the new house. Like, I want you to invite me over so that I can see you and help you unpack boxes and just kind of bring you coffee. And I don't want just to pick up my check and be done with you. I genuinely want that relationship to continue for as long as it goes, even if we never buy or sell a house together again, because they will know people, and ultimately that business will continue to come in. It's a delicate balance between working with friends, because you don't want your friend to feel like they're just a dollar sign to you. They're not. Like, they were your friend first. But also, they want to see you succeed, and so they want to bring more money into your pot, right? So you're working together to generate that business. It takes time. I mean, 6 months, it feels like a long way away until it's really not. Because if you are doing that on an ongoing basis, and it'll pick up, then somebody 6 months ago you're working today, and somebody 5 months ago you're working, and so you just kind of get in a rhythm and have a good system to keep track of people. Because if you forget about that 6 month person and don't keep in touch with them, Beth or I are going to keep in touch with them, and then they're going to call us in 6 months, not you, right? So my systems are in the process of improvement. Another one for you. I start early, I stay late, day after day, year after year. It took me 17 years and 144 days to become an overnight success. It is not an overnight business. You cannot build this business overnight. Whether you are in real estate or something else, you don't build a business on relationships overnight. It just doesn't happen. And don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. Our job is to get out there and to really, really embrace the relationships, embrace the opportunity. There's people that are years ahead of me that are doing this so much better than me. And if I look at myself against them, I'm gonna feel like a failure. It's not fair, right? You can't do that to yourself. You have to look at yourself, where you're at. Am I doing the best? Am I showing up the best that I possibly can?